afternoon, Mayor.
Before I get to what I know all of y'all want to talk about, I have something I want to talk about, and that is American Grown, the new book by First Lady Michele Obama. The city of Houston is featured with our city gardens. And I'm very excited to see that because city gardens are something that I'm passionate about, and I think that we are doing very well with here. As everybody knows, the first city urban garden was planted in front of the Bob Lanier Public Works Building, 611 Walker, 2 years ago. We planted some our victory gardens over in Tranquility Park across the street. I have a garden in my backyard, a very small garden patch. It's mostly tomatoes right now, but I have an herb garden as well. Michele Obama planted a kitchen garden on the White House's south lawn, and it has inspired the whole country to talk about the food we eat and how easy it is to grow produce for ourselves and our families, our neighbors, and how being more connected to the food we eat makes us all healthier, and it may make us make different choices about what we eat. Our city gardens here in the city of Houston fit into our overall discussion of being a healthier city, having more locally grown food options. I'm hoping that some of you will go downstairs in a few minutes to the weekly City Hall Farmers Market. While more and more people are showing up for the great lunch options, and I will point out that in order to qualify to be there to provide meals, you do need to have organic or locally sourced food items. But in addition, we still have local farmers who are there as well. And I generally buy fresh bread and produce on Wednesdays. But if you visited the Victory Gardens across the street, if you visited our container gardens at 611 Walker and the Farmers Market, the next thing you need to do is check out some of our satellite city gardens. We have an urban garden at the permitting facility, and we have 7 other gardens on city facilities across the city. It's a great way for employees to have something other than a cigarette break to bond around. It's relaxing. It's it builds camaraderie, and again, may make people think about what they eat and how they eat. We know we have serious problems with diabetes and obesity in this country. We all need to work to address that. I want to recognize Tambry Elkins, who's the president of our City Gardens Initiative, and ask her to just step up and say a few words. And then I also want to sincerely thank Laura Spangen, the Sustainability Director for the City of Houston, who every time I have an idea, puts it into action, and who generates an amazing number of great ideas on her own.
I want to let you know when big opportunities for city gardens to be represented this way.
Step up just a little bit more.
In Michele Obama's book, forgive me, I have a really sore throat, so bear with me. I want to thank the visionaries behind it, was Laura herself, KG, Robin, who keeps me beautiful, and a number of other gardeners with the city. Without that, we wouldn't be here. And all the gardeners who currently and actively and frustratingly keep these gardens going. And anybody wants to join us, please. You're welcome.
We're trying to make it easier for people to start community gardens where it's possible, where we're looking at city land, and we're not in the business of holding on to excess city land, but the fact that we're putting gardens at our active city facilities, but there often are opportunities to leverage the land we have to multiple uses. In addition, I know there are a lot of Houstonians who make lots available to their neighbors, and we're excited to see that happen. And again, the nice write-up with a great picture of the container gardens in front of 611 Walker and the initial planting day. And they're about to go over there and plant them again. They're looking a little ragged. But you know, one of the most amazing things about the container gardens in 611 Walker is in the middle of downtown. It's like trying to grow vegetables or herbs in an oven, because the heat reflects off the street, off the sidewalk, off the buildings, and yet they thrive over there. All it takes is a little water. And they managed last year, they're 2 years old, last year they, just a little bit of nurturing, kept them alive during the very difficult drought conditions. So anybody can grow herbs and vegetables in a very small amount of space. Anybody with any questions about American Grown, the book, or about what we're doing in terms of community gardens?
Now, how's the allocation of the land going for the urban gardens? Because I know you worked with a couple of organizations that do a great job with that. Has the program been growing?
Thanks for the question. Absolutely. We've actually just signed over a couple of properties in Sunnyside, some of our Laura lots, to Urban Harvest. And they are actually working with the city right now to build the actual allotment gardens that we're going to work with the neighborhood on taking over. And we're going to have a big announcement and celebration of that in the fall of this year. So the mayor's idea is to start in Sunnyside and then challenge other nonprofits and other neighborhoods to work together, come to the city, work with us to be able to give them the property that's tax delinquent and not being used for anything else, and actually turn them into allotment gardens. So that's the vision for the city.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome, thank you.
All right, Tambry, Tambry, Ms. Elkins, thank you for what you're doing, and thanks for being here today, and you know, sitting through a long council meeting to be part of this presentation. Appreciate it. All right, what's up?
Budget amendments. What do you make of the term limits one? Do you support the amendment as offered?
You know, actually, there really wasn't. I couldn't tell that there was. Rephrase this. None of the amendments as offered are in final form. In fact, one of the amendments said they wanted the legal department to, I think, to draft something. It's no secret that I don't believe in term limits. I think you got to do away with term limits. I have in the past supported transitioning from 3 2-year terms to 4-year terms. It's not something that City Council can decide. It's something that City Council would have to put on the ballot this November, and I would be, it clearly could not apply to anybody that is currently termed out, and it might have stronger support if it applied only to future council members who have not yet been elected, but we'll see what council thinks about it and whether they want to put it on the ballot. I mean, I brought it forward based on the recommendations of Mayor White's Term Limits Commission 2 years ago, and it failed by 1 vote. Council members may have a different attitude now about the amendment.
Mayor, can you give some information as to what happened with Jeff Mosley and where he may be going, and if there's going to be a national search to replace him?
I know that there's going to be a national search to replace Jeff Mosley, the former president of the Greater Houston Partnership. I'm not privy to any internal discussions about where he's going or what happened, but you know, he clearly had a long tenure with the partnership, and I had a great working relationship with him. I wish him well, but I do know they're going to do a national search, and Houston deserves to have the best. I've conducted a number of national searches for people who work now for the city of Houston, and I hope I know they'll find a great candidate.
And do you regard the
Let me, Mike?
Oh, I was just gonna ask about, Councilmember Cohn's, $5 fee. You know, she did something similar when she was in the legislature statewide. What are your thoughts on that? Do you think it's a good idea?
The sexual assault forensic examination fee. It's something that I definitely want to explore. As I have announced previously, I identified $5 million in the current city budget to be made available to the new Forensic Science Center to address the backlog of untested rape kits. This is a new source of revenue, appropriately targeted, that could be used instead of those other general fund dollars. I think it's an idea worth exploring, and I think there'll probably be some very productive discussion among council members on that fee, which would be applied to patrons at sexually oriented businesses.
Do you think it's a good idea?
We clearly, it addresses a problem that we have. It was clearly constitutional. It was able to, it passed muster at the state level. I think it's an idea worth exploring.
With regard to Councilwoman Brown's amendments regarding the pension system, do you think default is a viable option?
No.
What about challenging the constitutionality of present state regulation of pension systems?
I'm going to be coming out later this summer with a set of steps to address our pension problems. My goal all along has been to have the pensions in the control of Houstonians, to have pension leadership and city leadership able to meet and discuss and negotiate here locally. And that is still my number one goal. I am not in any way trying to do away with city pensions. I'm not interested in anything that cuts a pension check of someone who is already retired and depending on those dollars coming in on a monthly basis. And I'm going to lay out my pension reform outline later on. Frankly, I think it's irresponsible for any public official to ever advocate defaulting on taxpayer-backed debt.
In connection with the pension funds, has there been any progress in the lawsuit seeking a writ of mandamus to the fireman's pension?
I'm not aware of any progress, and I'm assuming that the city attorney would alert me if there were. So it's simply, we are doing our due diligence in order to work with our three pensions to have a pension for our retirees that is financially secure for them, but financially affordable for the city of Houston. The more data we have, the better. And we did file suit against one of the three pensions, asking them to provide data that would be freely available within any private sector company. They have refused to do that, and so our only recourse is to go to court to try to acquire that data. But we are, absent that data, we are still putting together a plan of how to, what would be appropriate changes to our pension to make it secure and affordable.
When do you plan to roll that out?
Later this summer. Don't have a hard timeline on that.
Will that make Houston sort of, the next national battleground? Will this be
I'm hoping
San
not.
Diego, Wisconsin?
I'm hoping, I am not at all trying to end pensions in the city of Houston. I'm not an advocate of defined contribution pensions over defined benefit pensions. I think it is possible to craft a retirement plan for our retirees that is affordable for us, secure for them, but doesn't put me in the dilemma of, do I, as I was last year, do I keep active city employees on the job, or do I pump money into a pension system over which I have absolutely no control? And that's not fair to current city employees. It's not fair to the taxpayers. And if we get into a situation that we're just completely unsustainable, it's not fair to the retirees either. So we're trying to find a balance.
Is there anything different about the coming legislative session that makes you think you'll have a better chance of getting some traction?
I think legislators are more aware of the issue. The issue of pension reform has risen on the national consciousness much higher than it was 2 years ago. And I have tried to offer a clear and consistent message so that when those folks go up to, who go up to Austin and say, well, the mayor's trying to do away with all retirements for city, or all pensions for city retirees, I think now the legislature understands that that's just not true. And, which is why I'm also wanting to put into writing what my overall pension reform plan is, so we'll have a start for the discussions. Again, it shoots down all the lies and misinformation that pop up and the emotional rhetoric every time we start talking about pensions.
Mayor, can you foresee a scenario in which the city would benefit from having some of your powers delegated to a city manager?
No.
Do you just not want to give up any of your power, or you just don't
It has
think it would
nothing to do
benefit the city?
with power or not. All of the major American cities have a, what I would consider a strong mayor system. And while Houston may be the strongest of the strong mayor systems, there's nothing magic about having a city manager. When I appoint department directors, when I designate chief of staff or deputy chiefs of staff, I am serving the functions of a city manager.
Do you care to respond to Councilmember Brown's statement that
It
the
is
mayor
not something that-
ostracizes
it's
or
not-
bullies council members into agreeing?
This is a council member who does not meet with me without the presence of her lawyer. So, I don't understand where she's getting that remarks, getting that comment, because there have been multiple people present every time we've met, including representatives of her office and her personal representatives. Anybody else?
Mayor,
But it would require a charter.
Mayor,
Anything on the budget amendments?
yeah,
Anything
I
else?
want to talk about the budget. Is there any reality to the idea that you may be consolidating all the budgetary functions under one centralized budget office?
This is something that council members have talked about. We're already moving in that direction. We are a centralized fleet. We're not done yet. Centralized payroll, centralized HR. Both of those are complete. Working to centralize IT, not done yet. Working to centralize finance operations in cities, and not done yet. We're not going to centralize or consolidate just to do it. There has to be either real financial savings or operational efficiencies, but we're moving to bring as much as we can in. Would I ever take the finance operation out of the police department? No. That's 1/3 of my budget by itself. So it clearly needs to have a strong finance operation over there. However, we have clarified the reporting authorities for those finance operations. And right now, they have a direct reporting line to the chief of police, for example, and a dotted line over to the finance director. We may do something as simple at some point as putting the straight line over to the finance director and the dotted line to the chief of police. But we are also physically moving some people. Every department has a different set of circumstances.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Mayor.
Mayor.